relationship counselor, Elizabeth Overstreet. Everyone has this vision in their mind of what marriage is, how romantic they want it to be, how they're going to raise their children, what the core values are going to be in that relationship. But often we don't tell each other totally what that vision is.
Welcome back to another episode of Bed Talks. We are back this evening with another fun guest. I'm excited to have this young lady on the show. We've been having a lot of interesting guests, so we got to keep it going, right, babe?
We better keep it going. This world is too big to not keep it going. I mean, there's so many different personalities, ethnicities, cultures, individual philosophies. So yes, indeed, we will keep it going.
Yeah. So we have Sandy Weiner with us tonight. Welcome to the show. She, her slogan for her coaching is Last First Date, which we're going to get into. Like, how did she come up with that? Because that's a unique name for sure.
Last First Date.
Mm-hmm. And she also focuses on being a relationship coach for women who are 40 plus. So look, just because you might be hitting your midlife, it doesn't mean you still can't find love and healthy relationships. She focuses on communications and boundary settings in relationships. And she's also been a TEDx speaker. So welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thanks so much. It's really great to be here with you guys.
I want to dive right in. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm the disturber.
Yes.
Sandy, just so you know,
Disruptor.
I just disturb.
I like disruptors. Good.
The thing that got me when I heard Last First Date, that's why I commented, Last First Date. Can we dive right into that? I think I know what it means, but I would love to hear the experts, answer to what does that entail, the last first date?
Yeah. So after my divorce, I started dating about 2 years after. I actually didn't even know that I wanted to be a dating coach because I didn't know it existed. But when I started dating online, I saw that so many profiles said searching for my last first date. And so when it came time to create a website for the new business that I was creating, I thought, last first date, that's what we're all looking for. We want to not have to go on these first dates anymore. We want to find that special person and continue to date them, but stop going on first dates, which can be really tiresome and draining. So that's the origin of my business name.
I like that. I like that. The last first date. Now, what would you have for someone who loves to date and they don't ever want their first date to be their last date? What would you call that, Sandy?
Well, yeah, like I said, I think people should continue dating. So I think it's the perpetual date. I think that once you're married, especially, or you're in a long-term relationship, you should not forget to date your partner. I think this is one of the reasons a lot of couples lose romance and lose that connection because they stop dating each other and they stop doing those small, lovely little gestures for each other that they did in the beginning when they were courting. So we should always be courting each other.
I agree. And I think that sometimes it's a lost art. I was just talking about this with my husband. I think the thing that people did generationally that I saw with my parents and grandparents, who I told you, because I was on Sandy's show, had multi-decade relationships. My parents were married 57 years and aunts and uncles 40 plus years, grandparents 60 years. But I noticed that they had traditions, like they really carved out time for each other to spend time with their friends, to spend time with family, to travel together, to do different small gestures like going to the museum together, just to keep that connection with one another going, because it's something that like you said, it has to be done incrementally all the time. But I think sometimes people, a relationship can lose its luster, right? Because you get to know each other, you get comfortable, you fall into roles, you have children, other responsibilities, your career. But I just think that relationship, you have to continue to put precedence on it. Otherwise, it can easily decline.
In other words, it can lose its newness.
True.
Relationship.
Easily.
And, to kind of piggyback off of what Elizabeth said, it's funny, when we first met, she actually, described to me what she was used to. And then she gave the evidence of it, i.e. her parents, other relatives in her family. So I was pretty amazed by that, because here it is, she was directly impacted, by this at an early age. In other words, learning what longevity, in a relationship looked like.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And I think too few people really have role models, number one. And number two, they're not really clear what they're looking for because they have never experienced it. And they don't express what they're looking for. So a lot of online profiles, for example, will say, let me tell you all about me, but they don't say, and in order to have this amazingness here in me, you have to bring all of these qualities that I'm looking for, because it's not just about marketing yourself. It's about knowing what makes for a good relationship. And you also brought up something that I wanted to talk about, which is these rituals that people do. I think when you're in a healthy relationship, you have rituals that are, you walk together, you watch a show together, you have certain things. Well, we used to have Tuesday night date night. We'd go to movies, we'd go out with each other, but making it intentional, really putting that intention both on your spouse, on your partner, but also on your children, having intentional parenting. I mean, to me, this is my overarching philosophy, is be intentional about everything you do.
Absolutely. What would you say is the hiccup that you see most commonly with women in their 40s? Because like at that point, they've had some experience of dating. They may have been married, divorced. They may have had some relationships where it seemed like it was going down one path and it didn't go down that path. So it kind of left them wounded. And I think this can apply to men in their 40s too that are dating, but I know you specialize with women. And I'm curious to see what you have to say, because I know what I've heard from women about what they want versus what they kind of sometimes could get, but still not recognize it. So what do you feel like stops them from kind of connecting to the right person?
Great question. First, I want to clarify that I started working with some men.
Okay.
So I didn't want to leave the men out. I had men who were listening to the podcast and they were like, I love what you say and do, and I would love to find somebody like you for men. And I said, well, why don't we get on a call and see if we're a good fit? Because I'd be happy to coach you if you're coachable. So I have had some amazing men who I've worked with. So I just want to put that out there for all the men. I don't forget about you.
Give that man, let's give her an applause.
Woohoo! Good for the men. Actually, I think it's really important for me as a coach also to bring the perspective of men, not just only work with one sex. Even though it's sort of you niche down when you start a business and you want people to find you for something, I have found that since I've been doing this for 14 years, I can sort of open up what I do and who I do it for. So that's one thing. Then to answer your question, I find that a lot of people come to me with patterns that are not working for them. They're not even aware of their patterns. And I would say some of the most common ones are, well, their pickers are broken. So they have chosen partners that all are similar in some way. They're not healthy for them. They have not really learned how to advocate for their own needs and their feelings. So they have suppressed a lot in relationships. They are not setting boundaries early enough and often enough. And they don't know how to say what they need to say without feeling mean. So they feel guilty, they feel mean. They often will choose the same type because that's what they were used to. And maybe it's tied into their attachment style. It's tied into their family of origin stuff. So when I start working with a person, I look at their love blueprint. Where did they come from? Where did all of this start? And what did they learn in their family home? How did their feelings get heard, valued, or not? What was the value of love and marriage in their home? Like you just said, it was very much valued in your home. So you came away with a positive feeling, but a lot of people don't have that. If there was a lot of conflict in the home, there was trauma, there was chaos. So who did they become in response to the chaos and trauma? Often it's the peacekeeper, it's the empathic one. And then they attract the people who take advantage of that, the people who are the narcissistic, self-centered partners. So breaking that pattern by first getting stronger internally, and that's really what I did my TED Talk about as well, was the fact that most people who don't learn the right lessons, which was me, you become harder with each heartbreak.